Michelle Beglane, the live dietitian in your kitchen. Today we are going to be making one of my favorites, chocolate zucchini muffins. So we are going to start with shredding the zucchini. So I have my zucchini here. I just cut the end off, and I am going to use a box grater. And I'm just going to go up and down. You're going to go with against the grain and to have it shred. Now this is going to be coming out pretty small. So then it comes and it goes straight into that bowl. So I have a smaller bowl for the dry ingredients. And we're going to start with our whole wheat flour. We need 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this 1 cup straight into the bag. And then the recipe is going to call for 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So here's my unsweetened cocoa powder. And again, I'm just going to kind of put the cup inside and I'm going to shake it back and forth to try and get it to be as level as possible. You know, if you won't like as much chocolate, you don't need to add the chocolate, but you know, it's kind of my favorite part. And then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So I have my cinnamon. Again, I'm going to put my teaspoon in to the container, move it back and forth, and put my teaspoon of cinnamon in. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So remember, this is the baking soda that's in the box. So I'm going to just put my teaspoon straight in, and you see how there's a little lip? I'm going to use that to help me level out, because we don't want to put too much baking soda or baking powder in, because then it can fall flat. This is really what's going to help these muffins to rise. And then I'm going to put in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now when I pour my salt, I'm not going to pour it straight over this bowl, because if I do, I could go crazy and get too much salt in it. And then I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So with the baking powder, I'm going to put this in. And again, I'm going to use that little lip as a level, so I get a nice level amount, and add it to this bowl of dry ingredients. Now, as you can see, sugar is not a dry ingredient. It actually helps to absorb some of the water, so it's better to put it in with our wet ingredients. So we're just going to whisk this up, and it's got a beautiful brown color. And then we're going to put it aside and finish up the white ingredients. Okay, so now I have brought back my bowl with the zucchini in it. And so we're just going to go right ahead and add all the wet ingredients in there. Let's not use too many bowls. That's why I used a little bit of a bigger bowl when I shredded that zucchini. So it calls for 2 eggs. Like the salt, I like to do my eggs separately. We don't want to get shells into the dish, and we also don't want to put any rotten eggs into the dish as well. So I have 1 egg. And then we're going to add in 1/2 cup of plain Greek yogurt. So I just used a non-fat plain Greek yogurt. The Greek yogurt is going to be higher in protein, and the plain is not going to have any added sugar to it. And you don't really need to add a whole lot of flavor to this, because there is a lot of flavor. This little container is a 1/2 cup. I've measured it once and it's a 1/2 cup. So I'm just going to use my spatula and take it straight from the cup. If you use a plain Greek yogurt and you have in a bigger container, you need to just make sure that you measure out a 1/2 cup of it. Perfect. So now I have all this Greek yogurt in here. I forgot to mention that I did not drain out the zucchini, so I leave that extra moisture in there. So you don't need to squeeze that zucchini to get that water out of it. So I just leave it all together. And then I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of canola oil. So you can use, this is a liquid measuring cup, and we're going to add 1/2 cup to it. And we're going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Now, typically I don't even use a whole 1/2 cup. You can absolutely use the whole 1/2 cup, because that's what the recipe calls for. But when it comes to sugar, you can use 1/3 of a less. So you don't even need to, you could put in about 1/3 cup of sugar. That would work too. If you wanted to keep your sugar down, you don't need to add all of it. Perfect. And then we have the zucchini in here. So now what we're going to do is just mix all of these great ingredients together. Now that all of our wet ingredients are together, I'm going to start to add in the dry. I add in about 1/3 at a time, and the reason I do this is it does help to get mixed together, and then if I add it all in, a lot of times I get a big puff of flour and everything in front of me. So then you lose some of these ingredients. So we're just gonna add it in a little bit at a time until the wet and dry ingredients are completely mixed together. Now that all of my wet and dry ingredients are all mixed together, you can see I have a little bit of a give to it. It's pretty, it still has a little bit of looseness to it, which is gonna be nice to put them into these muffin tins. Now for the fun part, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my ½ cup of chocolate chips. You don't have to add chocolate chips, you can add chocolate chips. You can also add things like walnuts to it. They add a little bit of healthy fat and some other crunch to it, but I'm gonna put these ½ cup of chocolate chips. And as you can see, I put them in at the end to more fold them in so they didn't have to get too beat up, and I'm just mixing it kind of lightly just to incorporate them into this mixture. Now that all of our ingredients are all mixed together in our bowl, it's time to put them into the muffin tins. So you can do one of two things. You can use those muffin tin liners, or you can use just non-stick spray. And when you're doing the non-stick spray, I usually start at the bottom and go around. And this way here, you're covering the whole muffin tin so that nothing will stick. Now let's see how many I get. Typically with this recipe, I will get anywhere from 15 to 18 muffins out of it because I do leave that extra fluid in there, and sometimes the zucchini is a little bit more depending on the size that you have if you don't measure out the 1½ cups. So when you are scooping, I'm just using this ice cream scooper. You can use any spoon is fine. The big thing is to just put them into the muffin tins and fill it about 3/4 of the way. This way here, that muffin has time to rise. It's important to try the best you can to keep them to be about the same amount. This way here, that you don't have one burn and one not fully cooked through the middle. So we're just gonna scoop these in and then pop them into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes, and then our muffins will be ready to go. Alright, so it has been about 20 minutes and the smell in here is amazing. So they look done to me. They don't look like they have too much going on. So all ovens are going to cook differently. It says 20 to 25 minutes. Well, let's check them out and see. So I'm going to use what's called the Q-tip test, or the toothpick test. We're going to put it in, and that is still wet. So we're going to put these back into the oven for another 5 minutes and just see let them cook up fully. All right, so they went in for another 5 minutes. They look better. I can tell they're a little bit more cooked on the top. So I'm just going to put the toothpick in and just double check them. So it comes out clean. Put it in on the other side. And I like to try and find the bigger ones. That one I think went through a thing. Yep, so we're good. So now that our muffins are done, while they're a little warm, I like to just take a butter knife and go around the outside. Now we did spray them, but if you let them stay in here too long, they may start to stick. And then, and so this way here, I'll just make them nice and easy to take out. So you just gotta go around the sides with the butter knife. And then once they're out, you just put them on a cooling rack and let them cool and enjoy them. They will freeze nicely too, so if you don't feel like you can't eat all these muffins right away, that's fine. Put them in a bag, pop them in the freezer, take them out as you want them, let them thaw, and